Good day, I'm Mr. Sen and I'm here to discuss about ratio. Ratios are mathematical expressions that compare two or more numbers. Ratios can be calculated and written in several different ways, but the principles guiding the use of ratios are universal to all. As I said, ratio is mathematical expression. For example, I will write there are 20 girls and 15 boys in the class. This expression is mathematical expression. Compare two or more numbers. For example, 20 girls and 15 boys in BS Math 2-1 and 30 boys and 20 girls in BS Math 2-2. It will written in several ways. For example, 20 girls and 15 boys. We can write it as 20 is to 15 or 20 over 15 or 20 is to 15. And last, demonstrate the quantity of at least two numbers or items in relation to each other. For example, a cake contains 2 cups of flour and 1 cup of sugar. I will write this as 2 cups of flour is to 1 cup of sugar. And that's all for the definition of ratio. Thank you.
I'm Jewel Pagunuran and I'm going to discuss about ratio. We have to define ratio. The question is, what is ratio? A ratio is a way of comparing two or more similar quantities. So I have here some examples for you guys to understand what ratio is. I have here 25 hearts, 10 pink hearts and 15 red hearts. So the ratio is this. So the ratio reads as 10 is to 15. Note the use of the column to represent the ratio. Ratios can be written in 3 ways. Ratios can be written in 3 ways, like this, or you simply write it in fraction. The two numbers being compared is called the terms. 10 as the first term and 15 as the second term. I will also teach you how to simplify ratio. I have here some examples, so let's check it out. I have here 4 1 peso coin and 8 25 centavo coin. The ratio of the number of 1 peso coin to the number of 25 centavo coin is 4 is to 8. 4 is to 8. If the coins are arranged into two groups, then this, and this. Then the ratio of 1 peso coin to the number of 25 centavo coin is 2 is to 4. We can see that for is to 8 is equal to 2 is to 4. 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2, and 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. If the coins are arranged into groups of 4, then the ratio of the number of 1 peso coin to the number of 25 centavo coin is 1 is to 2. We can see that 4 is to 8 is equal to 2 is to 4 is equal to 1 is to 2. We can see that 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1, and 8 divided by 4 is equal to 2. 4 is to 8, 2 is to 4, and 1 is to 2 are equivalent ratios. 1 is to 2 is the ratio in its simplest form. So I have here some exercises for you to try. Bye!
Hi everyone, I am Fiona Facey Villarreal, and I'm going to discuss to you is about ratio and simplifying ratio. First, what is ratio? A ratio says how much of one thing there is compared to another thing. Let's have an example so that you can understand it carefully. Here, we have 3 and 1 separated by colon. Then we have 3 flowers and 1 heart. So we can write it as there are 3 flowers to 1 heart. Ratio can be shown in different ways. We can show the ratio in 3 different ways. First, using a colon. Second, using the word is to. And the third one is to write it as a fraction. Here is an example of using a colon. We have the numbers 3 and 1, 4, 5, 10, 6, 4, 160, and 80. Then the 3 and 1, we also separated it uses a colon, and 4 and 5 we also separated it by colon, and the 106 separated also by colon. 6 and 4 is also separated by colon. Also the 160 is also separated by colon, or 60 and 80 is also separated by colon. The another one to write ratio or show the ratio is writing the word is to. We have 3 and 1, or 3 is to 1, and the 4 and 5 is 4 is to 5. We have the 3 numbers 10, 6, 4. We can write it as 10 is to 6, 6 is to 4. Then the 100 is to 60, 60 is to 80. The last one is write it like a fraction. We have 3 over 1, or simply 3, 4 over 5, and 100 over 60. Ratio can write it also like a fraction. But the next thing is, how are we going to simplify a ratio? Here is a trick. To simplify a ratio, you only need to multiply or divide the numbers by the same value. Let's have an example. We have 8 is to 10. First, we must think a number that will divide 8 and 10 equally. 8 is to 10 equally. We can use 2. Why? Since 4 times 2 is 8, and 5 times 2 is 10. Then we can divide them by 2. 8 divided by 2 and 10 divided by 2. Therefore, we can get the number 4 is to 5. This is the simplest form of this ratio, because we cannot get more number that will divide 4 is to 5 equally. We have another example. I love making pancakes. I love it, and I love eating pancakes. So here I have a receipt for a pancakes. Our receipt for a pancakes uses 3 cups of flour and 2 cups of milk. So the ratio for the flour to milk is 3 and 2. 3 is to 2. And I have, visitors. So I need to make more pancakes. To make a lot of pancakes, I think I need to multiply it by 4. So I multiply it by 4. 3 times 4 and 2 times 4. Therefore, I can get the number 12 is to 8. In the other words, the 12 cups of flour and the 8 cups of milk, the ratio is still the same. So the pancake should just be so yummy. And most of my visitors could eat them. The last example is 3, 9, and 15. Dividing by the 3 numbers of ratio, comparing 3 numbers, is also the same as we're going to simplify it. The first one, the 8 is to 10. To simplify it, we must think a number that will divide them equally. I think 3 will divide them equally because 3 times 1, 3 times 3, and 3 times 5 is 15. So we divided them by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 3 divided by 9 is 3. And 3 divided by 15 is 3. Therefore, we can get the ratio 1 is to 3 and 3 is to 5. So, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy my video tutorial about ratio and simplifying ratio. Thank you. Bye.
The topic assigned to me is proportion of ratio. A proportion is a name we give to a statement that 2 ratios are equal. It can be written in 2 ways. The first way is 2 equal fractions can be written as A over B is equal to C over D. The second way is using a colon. Can be written as A is to B is equal to C is to D. When 2 ratios are equal, then the cross products of the ratios are equal. In problems involving proportion, we can use cross product to test whether 2 ratios are equal and form a proportion. To find the cross products of a proportion, we multiply the outer terms called the extremes and the middle terms called the means. Here, 20 and 5 are the extremes and 25 and 4 are the means. Since the cross product are both equal to 100, we know that these ratios are equal and that this is a true proportion. We can also use cross products to find a missing term in a proportion. Here's an example. First, write the proportion using a letter to stand for the missing term. We find the cross products by multiplying 20 times x and 25 times 4. Then divide both sides by 20 and find the x. 100 divided by 20 is 5. The x is equal to 5. Note that we are using the inverse of multiplying by 20. Divide that is, dividing by 20, to get x alone on one side.
Hi, good day everyone. I'm Kent Dumagsang, and in this lesson, we are going to learn what proportions are and how can we use that to find an unknown value. Now, in order to understand what proportion is, we need to start first on ratio instead. Ratio is basically just a fraction that is used in a certain way. So let's go back to our topic. For example, I can read one book in 2 days. We can say that the ratio from books today is 1:2. But what if I can read books in the same rate in 10 days? How many books I can read in 10 days? Well, if I can read one book in 2 days, then in 10 days, I can read 5 books so that the ratio would be 5:10. Can you see what we have here? Those are equivalent ratio. Just like an equivalent fractions, they represent the same amount, so we can put an equal sign in between. And when we do that, we have a proportion. Proportion is just two ratios that are equivalent. So what's the purpose of this? Proportions is really good in finding an unknown value. Let's have an example. If I can read one book in 2 days, how many days will I consume if I want to read 23 books? So let's start here. If I can read one book in 2 days, the ratio is 1:2. Then I want to read 23 books in unknown days, so the ratio will be 23:n. Now we can find this easily using cross-multiplying. Cross-multiplying is just a shortcut way in doing some basic algebra to rearrange the proportions so we can find the unknown value. In doing cross-multiplication, we will put an equal sign because cross-multiplication will give us another equation. Now let us multiply the means, which are 1 and n, and the extremes, which are 23 and 2. In doing cross-multiplication, it doesn't matter if you interchange them. Next step is to go ahead and simplify the equation. Now we already found the value of n, which is 46. And that's it. We've just discussed about proportions and hopefully you learned a lot about my topic. Thank you.
Good day everyone. Our topic for today is proportion. What is proportion? A proportion is an equation written in the form of A/B equals C/D or A:B equals C:D, stating that two ratios are equivalent. In form A/B equals C/D, A times D is equal to B times C. In form A:B equals C:D, the A and D are called the extremes and B and C are called means, which means the product of the extremes AD is equal to the product of the means BC. For example, 4/8 is equal to 3/6. The 4 times 6 is equal to 8 times 3. 4 times 6 equals to 24, and 8 times 3 is equal to 24. Therefore, 4 is to 8 is equal to 3 is to 6. Another example, 4 is to 3 is equal to 7 is to 10. We can say that the product of the extremes is equal to the product of the means. 4 times 10 is equal to 40 is equal to 3 times 7 is equal to 21. We can see that 4 is not equal to 21. Therefore, the 4 is to 3 equals 7 is to 10 is not a proportion. Thank you everyone. This is all for today.
Now, let's proceed to percents. The ratio of one number to another can be expressed as a percent. The word percent means hundreds or divided by 100. For example, express 1/4 as a percent. Thus, the solution will be x over 100 is equal to 1/4, where x here is the percent expressed by 1/4. We now solve for x. We will use the cross multiplication. It will become 4x equals to 100. Divide both sides by 4. 10x is equals to 25. Therefore, 1/4 is equal to 25%. There's another way of finding the equivalent percentage of a fraction or ratio. We'll just divide the numerator by the denominator, then multiply the quotient by 100. For example, express 2/5 as a percent. We'll just divide 2, the numerator, by 5, the denominator. Will become 5, rather 2 divided by 5 4 times 5, 20. Then, multiply the quotient by 100. 0.4 times 100 is equals to 40. Then, 2/5 is equal to 40%. That's it.